over here. Yes, you over here. Inspector Brake here from Scotland Yard. As you can tell from where I'm standing, the operator of this bus cannot see me, neither from his side mirrors nor his passenger mirror, not even his direct line of sight. We are in a danger zone. And as a professional school bus driver, you need to be aware of where they are and what to do about them. Can you imagine if I were a small child and the bus suddenly began to back up? The results could be catastrophic. That's why it's so important to pay attention to this program. Everything we're going to discuss is important for your safety and the safety of your passengers. Let's move on, shall we? Well, I'm a little shaken but not stirred, especially when it comes to my determination to help make you a safe and responsible driver. After all, you're the professional driver, and you not only have to safely transport children to and from school, but you're also responsible to safely share the road with other drivers who haven't had any professional driver training. You're responsible for the safety of any pedestrians who happen to be near your bus. And finally, you're responsible for the school bus itself. In my capacity as a brake inspector, I'm often probing around inside a danger zone, so I'm keenly aware of how important they are. Understanding danger zones and the risks associated with children getting on and off the bus is vital to your role as a professional school bus driver. During this safety course, we'll discuss the danger zones around your bus and how and why children get into them and what you can do to prevent that from happening. Finally, we'll explore many of the dangers associated with picking up and dropping off the children. Preventing danger zone accidents comes down to 3 actions on your part. Count the kids away, know where they are, and clear your mirrors before you move. In fact, these 3 steps can save lives. Danger zones are areas around your bus that are particularly dangerous and prone to accidents, the worst kind of accidents. Accidents where a child is struck by a bus. When this happens, it's always tragic. The 3 main danger zones are immediately in front of the bus, the passenger side of the bus, and behind the bus. Children should never enter a danger zone. Of course, we work very hard to teach them this important principle from a very early age, but ultimately, you are the one responsible. You have to be vigilant to ensure that they don't enter a danger zone. Before we discuss ways you can keep kids out of the danger zones, let's discuss why they go there in the first place. Obviously, the children have to get on and off the bus, and if they line up like soldiers, stepping on and off in a straight path, we'd have no problems. But it isn't always that simple. Let's face it, children are not necessarily careless, but they are carefree. They're busy living their lives, interacting with other children, trying to get their needs met, and they don't always think about their own safety, and that's where we come in. According to my investigations, there are a number of reasons why a child might end up in a danger zone. Let's see, here we are. Dropping something and trying to retrieve it, trying to take a shortcut by walking right in front of the bus, trying to cut between parked buses, especially at the school pickup point, running after the bus or trying to hit the side of the bus with their hand, especially when they're late, having some type of interaction with a child who is still on the bus, hanging on the back bumper and trying to go for a ride with a skateboard or just sliding along an icy street. Oh, and here's another one. Sometimes the child will walk away from the bus in one direction or another and then come back to the bus. This can be a very dangerous situation, and especially if you haven't cleared your mirrors just before pulling away. Always be aware of what's going on around your bus, but pay particular attention to the 3 danger zones. They are immediately in front of the bus, the passenger side, and behind the bus. You see, danger zones are really only a danger immediately before, during, or after the kids are getting on or off the bus. That's when they're the most vulnerable. Now, over the years, I've interviewed a lot of drivers on ways that they prevent children from entering danger zones, and I've compiled a list. Let's see. I'm sure you'll find this useful. Number 1, on each of your routes, begin each school year with a candid discussion with the children about danger zones. Number 2, when children have to cross the street, instruct them to walk 10 big steps ahead of the bus before turning to cross. That's good to remember, even if you have a crossing gate. Oh, here's another follow-up to that one. Give them the OK signal when it's safe to cross, and enforce its use. Yes. Never tolerate any horseplay in or around the stairwell or when children are getting on or off the bus. Here's an interesting one. Watch for strings hanging off jackets and backpacks, and explain to the children how dangerous they are and ask them to have their parents cut them off. Let's see. Number 6, instruct children to walk at least 10 feet straight away from the bus when exiting. Once they're 10 feet away, they can turn in the direction they wish to go. Here's a really important one. When unloading, watch to see which direction the children are heading before you move the bus. Count the kids as they get off the bus, then count them again when they're away from the bus to make sure that they're safely away from the danger zones. In other words, count the kids away. Know where they are and clear your mirrors immediately before you move. Number 9, instruct the children to wait away from the curb and not to approach the bus until it comes to a complete stop and you open the door. Children should walk, not run to the bus when they are boarding. And they shouldn't push or shove one another. Instruct the children to take their seats after boarding the bus and don't move the vehicle until everyone is seated. Likewise, children should stay seated until the bus comes to a complete stop before leaving the bus. Number 13. When parked at a school or any place where there's more than one school bus, you should park the buses bumper to bumper. That way the children can't walk between vehicles or wander into the danger zones or the street. Well, I guess you can see by the length of this list how important these suggestions are when it comes to keeping your passengers safe from danger zones. So far, we've discussed where the danger zones are and why they are so dangerous. We've looked at some of the reasons why children go into danger zones and how we can prevent them from being there. Now, let's turn our attention to how we can make sure the danger zones are clear before we ever move the bus. First of all, count the kids away. Next, know where they are. And finally, clear your mirrors immediately before you move. Pay attention and be familiar with the pickup and drop-off points and know how many children are usually there. Become familiar with which children must cross over the street. As children exit the bus, count them away. Then, when they're away from the bus, count them again. Never back the bus when children are nearby. As you approach a pickup point, scan the entire area and take note of where the children are. Be especially careful when there appears to be horseplay, pushing or shoving, or when the children aren't in the same place. Check your mirrors. Be on the lookout for cars who may try to pass you on the left or the right, even though they're supposed to stop. Look at oncoming traffic as well. Activate your ambers, bring the vehicle to a complete stop, turn on the warning lights, and if so equipped, make sure the stop arm and the crossing gate are fully extended. Check the mirrors again for traffic before you open the door. Signal to the children when it's safe to board. Never tolerate pushing, shoving, or running while the children are getting on or off the bus. At the end of the school day, you'll follow similar steps for dropping children off at their destinations. Children should stay seated until the bus comes to a complete stop. Check your mirrors. Be on the lookout for cars that may try to pass you on the left or the right, even though they're supposed to stop. Look at oncoming traffic as well. Activate your ambers, bring the vehicle to a complete stop, turn on the warning lights, and if so equipped, make sure that the stop arm and the crossing gate are fully extended. Check the mirrors again for traffic before you open the door. Count the children as they leave the bus. Know where the children are as they walk away from the bus and count them again. For children who cross over, make sure that they take 10 steps ahead of the bus before crossing. Check your mirrors and check for any approaching traffic before you give them the OK signal to cross. Then, once the children have crossed, make sure they're headed safely to their destinations and count them again. Finally, the last thing you should do is clear your mirrors one more time before you pull away. We know you're watching and counting the children as they board and leave the bus, but sometimes you may be distracted, and that's when you can lose track of a child. That's when a child can sneak out of your line of sight and enter a danger zone. There are a number of common distractions you face every day. Horseplay for one, and that can be on the bus or in a loading zone. You can also get distracted by a child who is sick. Activity outside the bus can also distract you. Maybe a car ignores your flashing lights and drives past. Or a parent who comes to the bus to ask you something can also be a distraction. Or maybe there's construction near the loading zone and you have to deal with the disruption of the traffic patterns. There could be a nearby accident that catches your attention. The point is, it only takes a second to lose track of where all the kids are. And that's when a child outside the bus can slip into a danger zone. So you have to be vigilant, refocus your attention back on the children, and remember, always clear your mirrors before moving. As you can see, there's a lot to think about when you're driving a school bus, and everything we've mentioned so far is pretty much part of your everyday routine. However, there are also some special circumstances for you to consider. The first involves children returning to the bus after they've disembarked. Believe it or not, this has become a big problem. In one case, a child cleared the bus, and just as she got to her front steps, her artwork blew out of her hand back toward the bus. She ran after it and was hit. Another time, a teenager crossed in front of the bus, and after getting to the other side of the street, he stopped. The driver cleared her mirrors and started to pull away, but the young man had turned around and came back to pick up some money that he had dropped and was hit. Unfortunately, these are true stories, and they make the point that you have to be vigilant about what's happening around your bus. You have to be sure that you know where all the children are before you begin to pull away. Remember, count them away and clear your mirrors before you move the bus. If ever you're in doubt, don't drive off. If you have to, get out of the bus and look to make sure no child is in danger of being hit. As you can see, You have to be vigilant about the safety of the children, whether they're standing at the bus stop, boarding, riding, or disembarking from the bus. As a bus driver, you have to constantly remind the children to stay out of danger zones and to behave safely while waiting for the bus, while boarding the bus, while riding the bus, and while getting off the bus. Because children are easily distracted and soon forget about safety. Remember, your job is extremely important. The safety of your passengers, the children, which are the most precious cargo of all, is in your hands. Understanding danger zones and how to prevent danger zone accidents is vital to your success and their well-being.